What is wrong with Tyrique? Will he talk to someone about it? Was I right or was I right about Kendall? And can Justine get a break? But also, why did Justine come back? Okay, I'm here today with my co-host MC. How you doing, MC?
I am doing okay, but definitely have a lot of questions too. How how does Toby does not have a good poker face, and how he made it through that ceremony with Tyreek, I do not know. But I'm excited to talk about it all with you today. So this week kind of started off a little bit with the heart rate challenge, which was a little different because it was like 90 seconds and it felt very rushed. But I think from that challenge, I don't know if there's anything you wanted to speak about that challenge, but Isaiah and Nicola ended up coming up on top. But was anything from that challenge other than Chris picking up women and putting them down that really stuck out to you?
It's interesting that you mentioned Chris. I have a terrible, terrible confession. I no longer see my little kid brother in Chris because I was like, oh no, I think Chris looks hot in that outfit. Oh no,
Oh no!
oh
Oh no!
no. I felt so embarrassed and I need to confess. I felt really embarrassed. I was like, ah, oh my God. That's all I have to
No,
say.
hey, I'm glad you confessed. I'm glad people know. And in an episode you won't have to see that anymore, so you can move on too.
I'll
Um,
never have to reflect on all of that.
100%. Um, but I feel like Isaiah and I guess everyone calls him Zay in the house. So Zay and Nicola really, they got everyone's heart rate up. It made sense. But right before the end of the challenge, two new bombshells came in, and
Hmm.
one of them really brought in a through storyline for a lot of long Love Island watchers. And I feel like seeing Sydney walk
Mm.
in was a surprise to us, but probably a bigger surprise to Zay, as we saw by in his face.
Yes. Do you okay, so we heard a little bit of their backstory. Were you familiar with Sydney before seeing her?
I was not. I definitely looked up the lore after the episode because I was like, his face, I felt like was something that I was like, I need to know what really took place here. Because I feel like he just and I feel like I got the pieces and understand that like how the breakup happened with the video being dropped. We didn't remember what happened in the video or what took place, but that they literally have not seen each other. Um, which is wild. I think that's wild. They haven't seen each other since that breakup. So yeah, and I I think it was respectable to be like to hug him in that moment. I'm not saying that she deserved or needed to hug anyone, but more of like I didn't know. I was like, was she gonna try to dance on him? Because I was like that feels a very too much. But I feel like it was like a moment that needed to happen. So but at first I was like, are they gonna get back together? Because I feel like based on what I read, I don't know if this is what's good, but for like watching TV watcher, I was like, I want to see what happens.
It does feel like she's a little bit more real in the way she interacts, even though her hair
Yeah, yeah. But-
voice is kind of it's different. Well, it's not different, but it's not my preference. But
yes, yes.
I'm like,
Not at all. Like I thought clearly there was a lot of unsaid things happening between the conversation, jumping forward when Zay and her finally have a conversation. And they were just catching up about the life. It was like, oh, how is everything with your dad? And I forget what he said, but he said
yeah.
something. And then that was really like kind of emotional in how they connected, how they were connecting. And she was like,
Mhm.
fire. And I was like, that's a wild response, but also like maybe this is who you are. And so I don't know, I don't stand her in any way or whatever, but I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, she literally will just say what she wants, I guess. But I don't
Yeah.
really know her season, so I'm glad that she's like clearly. It seems like she's like done with this part of her life. And I think Zay is too, but I can see in how they interact that like I was like, oh, there was like they're moving forward, but there was a lot there, and I feel like it
Yeah.
makes me curious to dig about it in the future, you know. But then they won and they got to go to Zay and Nicola and got to go to the hideaway as friends.
That's
Though
right.
Tayuka is like maybe more as he likes to instigate as we learn later too. Um, but they had to make a choice to pick which of the vulnerable couples they wanted to send in. And Chris, who kept on telling everyone in the confessional that if I lose because of a lap dance challenge, I'm gonna be so upset. And we find out that they choose Chris and Johnny along with Andrea and KayKay to go in, which heavy hitters across the board. Heavy hitters across the board.
Big decision.
Yeah.
Okay, so for this, I feel or felt and feel annoyed that they made a strategic decision. I think in the end, no one is faulting them for it because they're playing a game, they made a choice.
Mhm.
However, if you make a choice, you made the choice. And I did not appreciate Nicola acting. I mean, I think she actually did say something like, oh, Zay wanted to do this. Like, I did not appreciate her. It sounded like she was implying that somehow none of this is her fault. Number one. And then number two was upset that people had a reaction to her making a choice.
Mhm.
And I didn't like, I don't know her and I didn't watch her season, but I felt like we were getting white women tears, and it made me look at her differently. I never thought she was like, some innocent little thing, but I think it made me think, oh, that's kind of gross. So you have this side to you where you can be a bit manipulative. I don't know. What
Yeah,
did you think?
yeah. I mean, I do think you can say white women tears, and you should be able to say white women tears. But I think that then there became the dynamic between her and KayKay, where it's like, and she was acting like a victim of like the situation, and what
Yeah.
KayKay had the right to be the frustrated one. Yes, you had to make a decision, but you making a decision isn't what we should be feeling sorry for. And she was kind of being the one that was using her tears and kind of making it about her. And so when KayKay was like, I don't really want to talk, it makes sense. Like I think you've got to respect that and know that you can move past that. But now they've just got to lock in, figure it out because it's not like you make the decision, you have a day. Like they were going to go into the battle, like I think in like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a different dynamic versus like hey, whenever Chris and KayKay chose Mert and Selene to be the dumped islanders,
Hmm.
or not dumped, to go down to the bottom to be vulnerable, like that happened, and then they had 24 hours for the actual vote and stuff to happen. What I mean? It was a different dynamic, and
Hmm.
so I think that I feel like I understand Nicola like wanting to you know she not being an American, she might have been feeling like on the outs a bit, and I think that she had a good relation with KayKay, so I feel like that might have been a part of it, being like,
Okay.
oh, she was my in, and not my in, but my opportunity to feel more connected, and now I just isolated
Hmm.
the person who did that. And I
Hmm.
think she said that, and also don't be expressing that to her. Don't be like I mean, I am fully on KK, so I don't think there's anything that went wrong, and I think Love Island was wild for that status that they posted,
Disgusting.
which is just disgusting, and so it was just upsetting because you clearly just don't understand the dynamics, and so
Yeah.
um I don't know, it was frustrating to see, and so but I appreciate KK kind of feeling that way. Chris, um I don't know, I felt similar, though I don't think Isaiah was trying to like be the same way. I think Isaiah's like,
Exactly.
hey, I want to talk to you about it, and Chris is like, no. And I think that if Nicola went up to KK and was like, KK's like, no, and Nicola was like, okay, cool. But Nicola tried two more times to talk to her in that moment, and
Yeah.
KK's like, please, I don't want to talk to you. And
Yeah.
that's where it's like, I can't believe she's so mean to me. And it's like, calm down.
That I would never speak to someone that way. I think that was what really like ticked me off because it would be different if KK started like yelling and cursing and like pushing you up against a wall. But like she just said she didn't want to talk to you. That doesn't warrant it. I would never treat someone that way. Like
Yeah.
what did she do to you? Set a
Yeah.
boundary?
Yeah, 100%. And that's what whenever I'm forgetting from the first group, whenever like Charlie and Justine chose to go against Zay and Nicola, Zay and Nicola were pretty heated. And
Yeah.
if they were chosen and then Charlie was like, "Hey, can I talk to you both right now in this moment? Apologize." Like, how
Yeah.
would you react? Because it's just like
Exactly.
it's being selfish, and so it was silly to see that. So I definitely soured on Nicola a bit after that moment. Um, and looked at her a bit differently. So that is what it is. But yeah,
Yeah, and then the fandom, I don't know. I think I'd heard some people saying, it'll be better because the people who were changing the dynamics of Love Island fandom are, they're in school right now. They're busier. But I feel like they're not totally gone because I went on the app just out of curiosity and there was a lot of like, yeah, where like they asked something like how do you feel about KK and Chris leaving, and it was like angry, neutral, or like happy, and a lot of people were happy. A lot of the votes were that they were happy they left, and then I just like perused Reddit a little bit and it was a lot of like KK's so arrogant, Chris is so arrogant, which for me, every time there's something like that with athletes or competitors, I always feel like that's coded of like who gets to be
Yeah.
confident and who doesn't. So I don't know. I think maybe they had a break from school that day or something, or they're still
To
they're
talk
still
like that.
around.
No, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that I, as a whole, love that first time Chris is vulnerable and Chris is put in a situation
Yeah.
that he did lose. Like, granted, I know
Yeah.
he broke his finger. At first I didn't believe him, but then it looked like he actually. But that was me. But I thought he was trying to make an excuse why he lost. Um, but also, yeah, if we like, I'm like, how we call him KK arrogant? Like, I'm like, what are we talking about here? And same thing, I'm like, Chris is arrogant, and also like, but also I'm just like, if you're on any competition show, like you want people to have that's an archetype. That's like you want people to have that energy. I'm just like, I didn't like love Chris as like a
Of course, same.
he's not my favorite person there, but
Yeah.
also like he brought like a sense of like I'm solely for competition, and honestly, clearly there was a fear around him because once he was gone, I feel like everyone was like, oh, this is like a free game,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I think changed the dynamic as everyone said. But yeah, but we saw. I guess first was Andre and KK, and I honestly thought KK was gonna have it.
Me
I
too. Oh wait, I
Yeah.
really really quick, I want to say that I don't think we've ever, or I have never seen a basketball player on reality TV who wasn't arrogant.
If you're an athlete competing in a competition show, and that
Yeah.
competition show's a Love Island Games, like you have a right to be a little arrogant, and also like that's okay. That doesn't make you a bad person, and also
Yeah.
it's like what do
A
we?
little cocky, like
Yeah,
that's a
like
lot of
we're
people.
we're glad Johnny the superhero sent home Chris the arrogant person. What are we doing here? Like, you know what I mean?
This is the thing. It was definitely a strategic choice because
Yes.
I kept thinking like, oh, I'm mishearing the name. They're saying Andrina, and I'm like, wait, Andrea.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
We,
interesting.
we,
And interesting that they didn't choose Justine.
yeah. Well, I don't think Justine was in the bottom.
Oh, she
Um,
wasn't. Okay, she
yeah,
wasn't
it,
on
it,
the
it was
TV.
it was
Okay.
Andreina, Andrea, and KK.
Oh, okay, okay.
But I think strategically no matter who the blaming of each, I think the choices made sense to get out
Yeah.
the top people because I feel like Nicola and Isaiah were like in the middle of competitions, and so getting up top one of the top people makes sense, you know?
I mean, honestly, they were. I feel like everyone was probably regretting how they treated the heart rate performance because, they thought, okay, we gotta. I remember Johnny and someone else said like, oh, we'll intentionally be very stoic. We
Yeah,
have to make sure that we don't
yeah,
let X person win. I'm like, well,
yeah, yeah,
if you had let maybe like Justine win, you probably would have been protected, or if like
yes,
if you had let some they I so I anyway I say all that to say I agree with you that I think it set a lot of things in motion, and I think you're right that once Chris and Kate, I feel like Chris in particular, yeah, once he was gone, people felt like, oh,
yeah,
I have a chance now, and then I think once KK was gone, honestly, it seemed like the women relaxed, which is a
yeah,
just not a smart choice. But I
yeah.
felt like they all were like, oh, okay, we're just gonna vibe, we're just gonna have fun.
Yeah, yeah,
No.
and I was like, no, it's not what's happening. I think, and I won't go too much into it, but I was like, I honestly felt like KK had a really good strategy that first round, where like
Yeah.
every time I won't go too into it, but every time Andrea pulled, KK went to the other square and pulled her, and was really good. It was just like at 45 seconds, like Andrea ended up pulling in that moment and getting it,
Yeah.
and then so I felt bad because I felt like I saw KK switch to like competition mode, and if I'm like I want to be here for love, to be like I think I can win this money, and I was sad to see it end for her.
Yeah.
But I mean Andrea proved herself, and I think people saw that, and so that was impressive.
Hmm.
Um, and and then for Johnny and Chris, I did think Chris had it like I want to say at least 90% of the time, and then the last
Mm-hmm.
10% Johnny finally got it to his and won that first round. I was kind of curious if Chris won that first round, but his finger was broken. Like, would have they just let Chris won? Like I was kind of curious what that would have meant, but never it didn't hit. But I was kind of curious because they said the reasoning. I'm like, well, um, but yeah, I mean Johnny, Johnny talks big talk and he beat Chris, so I feel people probably are scared of him. Um, and he
They
really,
are now.
yeah, he shows why he's a force. And and we'll talk about it more, but Andreina like falling to the ground and saying my man and my baby and over here, and I'm just like. I saw what the end of this arc looked like, but I'm just like, she really thinks she's on Love Island with like games happening, and 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 you saw everyone else shift to like this is a game, like in later in these episodes, but like Andreina was still like, well, if my man says I have to send one of you all home, I guess I do, and then
That was wild.
wild thing to say, and then Justine's like, you're playing too, right? Um, but anyway, those are the first arc of the episodes. Was there anything in the first two up until Chris and KayKay leaving that we didn't hit on?
Let me see. I don't think so.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't think so.
cool, cool.
Someone screenshot an image of Isaiah kissing with his eyes half open.
Oh yes, yes, that was go. That was going. That was go. I saw it in the moment. I was like, I think his eyes like moved a little bit, and people were like, this is a little creepy. Um, and I saw, um, uh, yeah, I just saw a lot of wild things online
He has
constantly, but that
creepy
was
energy, I will say. I'm not saying
yeah.
he's a creep. He just has creepy energy.
He does have creepy energy because I think, as we remember from his intro package when he says I'm young, dumb, and full of,
Oh my god, I
and
forgot about
and
his
and,
jam.
and also I feel like when after he kissed her and he was like, I just really happy to eat you or something. He did something like that.
I
And
remember what he said. He said, I wanted to taste you.
it
Oh,
taste you.
bar.
And I was just like, oh
Oh,
God. I was like, yeah, okay, you just kissed this person for the first time and you're gonna, I don't know. I just felt a lot. It was a lot,
oh, that made my stomach turn. Oh.
Yeah, yeah. I was like, I don't, I don't know how I still feel about Zay because I don't know because the last episodes I was like, I didn't get much from him, and we got more, but I still don't know how I feel. Like I paused a second watching the video because he was like he has those sunglasses that are very skinny and I feel like they almost look like reading glasses. Like if you just like if you looked at him and like just put a few more years on him, you'd be like, oh, he's like an old guy sitting out by the pool with reading glasses on. But his hair and his like earring, obviously he's younger, it's a different dynamic, but I was just like interesting. I don't know. I just felt like I was like, I don't know what to think of this guy. As a
that all
tangent, but
that no, that look, because of the earring and like the way he styles his hair, it actually gives me like 2001, 2002 like
yes.
R&B boy band.
Yes, yeah,
Why are you dressing like this? Were you born in 2000? I was like, was he even alive in
and
2000?
when I was like digging in the lore of Sydney and him, when he was on the show, he used to have one earring. I think it was one earring of like a cross, like a dingle down a
Tell
cross.
no die. He
Yeah,
would have
yeah,
known.
yeah. And I'm just like, oh, you're one of those people. And so I think that
He would have known.
it's interesting. It's interesting for sure. Um, but But yeah, and I think Tyreek's talking up Justine and it's feeling
Okay, let's
kind
get
fe
okay. Let's get
yeah,
to them.
feeling kind of good, but Justine's which is funny. Justine's like I don't know if Tyreek's just talking, but like I want to know he's like in it for the game, which again, Tyreek literally in his intro package was like I am here for the game to win money. So I'm like just talk to each other. Like clearly you'll see that that is something you're both interested in. But of course, when Justine expresses she's here for the game, Tyreek's like, "Oh, she might be a little too into the game. Like she only all she cares about is the game." And I'm like, what are you talking? Like what a guy,
Exactly.
like you, a man can focus on the games, but the woman can't focus on the games. And it felt so just the gender dynamic and was so frustrating to hear. And this is before the coupling and moving forward. But like that moment, I was like, oh God, this is gonna be an issue, isn't it? And it definitely was.
My God. Yeah, I thought Tyreek, I agree. I was surprised that, well, initially I was surprised that he was offended. You're right, like offended that Justine wanted to talk about the game. But then I thought, oh, you're delusional as well as being a villain. A delusional villain is not as fun. because
Yeah.
you haven't done anything. Like all you're doing is telling her that she's hot, and you're like, "Oh my god, I can't believe she doesn't want to date me now." Like you haven't done anything. You
Yeah.
haven't won any of the challenges, so you don't have her, hot and bothered because of that. You haven't said anything of substance, so
Yeah.
why would she be like, "Oh yeah, Tyrique, like I'm really into you"? You haven't said any. You haven't done anything,
Yeah. Yeah.
Tyrique.
No, and it's just wild to be like, oh, she's here for the challenges and she's only here for the game. And it's kind of like, well, something to remember is that she won the first Love Island. She won the first Love Island games. She's a ton of experience. Of course,
I
she should
think
come in.
did she win challenge? She also was on the
She
challenge.
was on the challenge. I forget if she won, but she got a very far in the challenge. I'm like, yeah, she's here. She's serious. And are you intimidated by that? Like, is that what you're saying? Because I'm like, you think, oh, I'm just so used to like, because he was with Andreina, he was with Lucinda, who both were the most non-focused on the games people,
Um,
And KayKay maybe was the one who was, and she kind of was like, oh, I'm with Chris, and he might just not, he might want to be the strategic one in the relationship.
yes.
And
Yes.
and that's the thing of like he's like, oh, you want to hear my strategy? All she wants to talk about is strategy. And it's kind of like you literally want to win this game and she's telling you how to win the game and she's the reigning champ and your solution, which we'll get to, is I'm gonna backstab her so she can get out to pick a random person in a box. And I'm like, you are such a man child. Like he the last time we talked to Noah, I was like, oh, he's a villain, but he's pretty entertaining and he's good TV. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, he is
Yes.
good TV. But hated what he was doing to Justine just to like spite her. And yeah, and we'll go more into it, but you could see Ariana being like asking a lot of questions because like, what are you doing? Um, but I guess I mean I know there's different threads, and we'll talk about Josh and Andrea later. But I think that going to do a coupling, I mean they were the only ones who didn't pick each other. So I feel like when Tyrique said Justine and she didn't, he like just he he's just a baby, man. I don't know. I cannot handle him.
I was shocked. I was actually shocked by the way he responded. I thought, okay, like I was shocked. I wasn't shocked that he was upset because of course like that doesn't feel good, but I was shocked when he physically moved away from Justine on the bench, like Tyreek. And
Yeah,
then I think other people started laughing at him, and of course that only made it worse because even they were like, we're 22 also, and we think that you're being immature.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it didn't make it better, but it also didn't. I thought at a minimum he'll feel shame because people are laughing at him, and he'll realize, okay, I'm being ridiculous, so let me at least pretend.
yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah. Exactly,
he
exactly.
moved all the way away from her and then gave her dirty looks.
Yeah,
Openly glared at her. Like, what? What are
yeah,
you doing? And also, I understood why Justine made that decision. As she said, they were getting to know each other. This is why I'm saying he's being delusional. Like, she was like, we were starting to talk. Like, you haven't done anything.
yeah,
They hadn't had any conversations where she said she was going to choose him. He
yeah,
hadn't asked her, like, if you have a choice, what will you do? None of that. So why is it such a huge betrayal that she didn't choose you? I
yeah,
think he so yes, I agree with you that he wants to be the strategic one. This is someone else said this. I don't remember who though, but they said there are a lot of people, men in particular, but a lot of people who want to lead but don't know where they're going. And I feel like Tyreek is a perfect
mm,
example of that, where yeah, he's like, she should follow me, but it's like, well, where are we going? What are we doing? What's the plan? He has no plan. He has no strategy. He
yeah,
has nothing. He can't even say, like, yeah, maybe we'll date after this. There's nothing. He's
yeah,
not promising anything, but he's entitled to her. And I think because he felt entitled to her, I think that's why he reacted so strongly. I also think that he thinks he's better looking and better than Josh, which, to be fair, I could see that argument. Josh is not my type, but I feel like part of it is that of like, it's one thing to lose, Andrina to Johnny because Johnny's amazing and Johnny's a supreme. So he's not, offended or that bothered by that. It's also one thing to lose KayKay to Chris because Chris is, like his equal or whatever. But I do think part of it is that he's like, this guy, this guy, you want to be with him? And yeah, that yeah, I think part of it is also that.
That no, that's true because if you think about the first few episodes, him and Josh are the ones who argued a lot of times. Josh almost put him in because he's like, I just want to be Tyreek, like in the duel, instead of
Hmm.
instead of Charlie. And so I forgot that dynamic of the beginning, and I think that like that's probably part of it. When it's kind of like, oh, he didn't get a kiss from Justine initially, but finding out Justine kissed him in bed, he's like, oh. He's like annoyed by that, and he's like, of course you're of course you choose me over him. Um, and it's just like, and it's just his pride. Like Justine made sense. I mean, we talk about it later or
Yeah.
with Justine, but like I think Josh screwed over Justine a bit.
Yeah.
And Justine was also like she said I was being strategic, but like I wanted to stay with Josh if I could, and also like I thought Tyreek might pick me. In the end, I would end up with one of them. Um, and but if I could, I'd end up with Josh. And just like it's wild because Tyreek literally said, well, the reason why he didn't want to be with Andreina anymore was because, and he didn't make that choice himself technically, but he didn't want to be with her. And it was like because he wanted to be someone who's more game focused, and you have
That's
the
what he said.
reigning champ, and when she is even more game focused than you're like, oh, I can't believe you're here for the games, he's, do we want to talk about the coupling and go to that? Or do we just want to talk about the
Yeah.
arc for Tyreek? Okay, I wasn't sure if we were
Let's
talking about the
let's
full
do
arc.
it.
When he was like, well, just so you know, I'm not like, this is strictly
No
business.
more breakfast.
No more
No more
breakfast, no more
cuddling.
cuddle,
Oh.
no more kissing. And I was
Oh my
like, oh,
God, you're lukewarm tea. Oh my
yeah.
God, how I survive.
And then when he talks to Josh, not Josh, I'm sorry, when he talks to Toby and he's like, I think I decided that I'm just gonna give all this lovey-dovey stuff, and then when I have the first chance to come in, when a new person comes in, I'm gonna cut her and make her feel embarrassed. Uh,
I
and
I
I was like, you like again, I said this, where like you were going to like lead on the reigning champ when you want to be, oh, you want to win. You want to win. The person who has won before and the best chance to win again, and you're like, I want to lead that person on and cut her, embarrass her to be with a random person. I'm like, you aren't strategic at all. You're just spiteful, You're just a spiteful man, a spiteful
very
boy. And so him saying that, I'm like, and Justine clocked it too. Justine initially was like, the switch up's kind of wild right now. And she was like, I'm gonna believe this. I'm gonna take a second and believe this. And I at first I didn't think she believed it, but seeing who reaction in the end, I was like, oh, she did believe it. Which
I
sucked.
know. It did suck because I think she has good instincts, but doesn't follow them because I remember when they were in the speakeasy, she actually did say to him, "Oh, are you playing me?" So it's like, okay, that's that told me, your instincts are right.
Yeah.
There was something in you that told you that you shouldn't believe this, but then I think she decided to let her guard down. I
Yeah.
know I felt bad for her because yeah, I think she decided, okay, maybe maybe I have a wall up, let me take it down. But also, to be fair, um, it's not Tyreek's decision is not normal, is not typical, is not indicative of even if you're not the most mature person, like I don't know, baseline.
Yeah.
like you're saying, because you're saying, yeah, what you're saying is like, okay, it's not a strategic choice. And I'm like, yeah, it's not a strategic choice, and it's also not even like a just regular healthy
No, not at all.
choice. So I feel like on Justine's end, it kind of made sense to be like, either way, even if he's not into me anymore, like either way, that wouldn't be a smart decision.
Yeah.
So why would he decide then to
Yeah.
just like mess with me because I chose somebody else to be coupled up with after
Yeah.
he had done nothing but maybe like what kiss one time and he told me that my boobs look good.
Yeah,
Like
which was a wild, just random thing to say. He was like forcing it, and I'm like, you pulled her in the middle of her getting ready to talk to her, and all the girls were like, oh, this is so cute, and then they were just chatting, had a little more time together, and then an hour later, you choose open the present, rather than turn the center.
kissed her too after making out with her.
Yeah, yeah, and it was just a wild. I just felt very upset for her, and I think it's just wild because again, when you say strategic, it's just like literally the men have no intention to get out any women or do anything because in the end, like yes, power couples and maybe that kind of thing, but like you like you were competing against the other men in the season, like there's gonna be one man and one woman who win, and so it's like there's no reason to be like I'm gonna get her out. Like there was no reason for you to feel that way, and so it was just for him to do that, and then really like when Justine said return to sender, and I was like, oh, this is gonna suck, and when he was explaining his decision. And even before that, you saw Toby kind of like Toby could not sit
Toby
still.
was a coward, by the way. I know that they're like good friends, but I'm like, you couldn't have said something even to Sydney. You couldn't have said something to Lucinda, to something to someone.
Yeah,
Coward.
yeah. No, I don't know Toby that well. Obviously, Toby is good friends with Tyrique, and I know Toby knows Justine, and I'm like, wow, you really gonna do that to Justine? And
Oh, sorry. One
no,
thing
go for it, go for
also,
it.
I'm like, he's not a good friend to Tyreek because he didn't say, I mean, maybe they cut it, unless they cut it out. We didn't see Toby once say, hey, you really want to do that? Hey, that might not be a good decision. Hey, you remember that they're voting, right? They might vote you out. So I'm like, I just wanted to say that. He's a
Yeah,
coward and he's not a good friend because he didn't even look out for his own friend. Like Toby was on the last season of Love Island Games, so he knows that at the end everybody comes back and gets to vote what to like put you forward. So he knows that even if he gets Justine out, she's gonna get to come back and vote him out. Not a
yeah.
good friend.
I mean,
Continue, sorry.
if we're I don't want to go if we want to go to like 40 chess over here, we're like Toby might be like, hey, if I'm in a thing with Johnny and Tyreek's so unlikable, I'll definitely be in the top two, you know? And so that
Yeah.
can be and that's part of like I don't know if Tyreek was gonna survive that vote. He might have because of like his entertainment, but the fact that like Sydney ended up picking because of that, really and honestly, like even saying it's kind of like her saying like, oh, I'm picking her because of my alliance, which is wild with any game show people on like I am supporting you because you were in my alliance. Like that's not something people do. Like this is so it's funny because I feel like for some of these people, this is the first like really game show for them, and they're
Yeah.
like figuring out what this looks like from a game perspective. Um and but you see like mistakes like that happen, but also it's kind of like if Toby and Tyreek are seen as a partnership, people are gonna get out Tyreek probably first,
Mm,
because they're annoyed by Tyreek. Even though like Johnny's like a bigger target, but in those three, even though he won, Toby won this one is on top. Like between Johnny, Tyreek, and Toby, like Toby is not seen as the top person to get out of those three. So I mean, it makes sense from
mm.
his end. But I think just like his like me sitting through like an office episode or something like that of seeing something so awkward like that was Toby just wanted to pause the screen, walk away. He just could not handle what was happening, and honestly it was wild and a little relatable. um but I did rewind to watch his reactions again because I just needed to see it. So but it was funny, but I feel for Justine, man. I feel for Justine. And then at the end of it, just for Tyreek to get safety was a wild thing to happen on top of it, you know?
I
Ah,
know.
it was
I know. I was that was really upsetting. I know.
yeah.
I felt. I think I saw some. Her eyes looked a little bit teary, and I was like, "Dang, no, Justine." But I
I
think
know.
it's more. I think yeah. I think she felt like embarrassed. I
Yeah.
don't think she liked Tyreek that much, but I think it's more just like, oh my god, I can't believe this is happening to me again. But
Yeah.
also, I'm a little bit curious because last season it seemed that she and Jack were more like they were more aligned in that, we want to win. Oh,
Mhm.
and a byproduct is that we both like each other, but he lives in the UK, she lives in the US, and it felt like they ended it being like, this might not be anything, let's see. But the way she's speaking about her past, I don't, I don't know if she's not counting him and she's only talking about her first season, but it's making it sound like he somehow played her too. Like maybe he was not into her. I don't know. I feel like I would love to know if she's only referring to her first season, because yeah, in her first season she was played by that horrible man, or if she's also counting Jack. Like it's more me being curious as to whether there's actual tea there. Because after the first season of Love Island Games, she randomly like react to episodes. And so it's like he was around, which, for me would say, he's like spending time in the US and spending time in her apartment. And she said that her plan was to go and visit him, but then I noticed that there was never a vlog. At the time I followed her, there were no vlogs of like I'm here in London and he's a DJ. So I was like, okay, this isn't gonna work out because he's a DJ
Yeah.
25 in London.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it was, not going to work out because he wasn't attracted to her or into her. So I don't know.
Yeah.
A part of me is, if that's true and he also played her, then that's like devastating that it's like, okay, now this is happening a third time. I'm hoping that that's not the case because I feel like if it is, I don't know. I think it would be hard emotionally for
Yeah.
Justine to come back from that and to like get her head in the game.
Yeah. And I do think that from what I was looking up, I know that she was also on Perfect Match. I think Netflix. So
Oh,
so
I
I
forgot about that.
I do think there was something that she was hoping with him and it didn't work out, but she was also on Perfect Match. So I think that's a dynamic. And I believe I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this. I believe she had like a little of a fling or a showmance with somebody on this challenge, but I didn't think it was that serious. But I know that there was a little bit of something there. I forget which one. But I don't think that was like, but I think there's been a lot of moments where she might have been leading with her heart a bit. And I think it's kind of like, I don't want to do that anymore. And the moment
Mm,
she was like, maybe I can get both, she kind of got screwed a bit. And
yeah,
so that kind of sucks for her, because it's like she was like, and you think these men would be like, hey, I'm a reigning champ. I want to focus on games, and I like you. I want to be here. And both Josh in a very different way and her were like, nah, you know. Oh, sorry,
yeah.
Josh and Tyreek were like, no, essentially. So it kind of sucks. But I hope I think Justine will survive the vote personally. I hope, and then or at least I voted for her. But
I
I
didn't know the voting was gonna. I watched the episode and the voting had already closed. I didn't know they only kept.
oh
Yeah, I was because
yeah
I downloaded the app right after the episode and they were like voting's closed and I thought, of course, I was like, oh, this is rigged. But then I rewound the episode and they said, oh, it'll only be open for 2.5 hours. I'm like,
yeah
oh, no PTO for people today. Why is
yeah right. It's
it?
literally it's like it takes an hour and a half to get through this episode. But either way, but yeah, no, those are those, and then, I mean, I guess do you where do you want to go next? Obviously, do you want to
I
talk?
want to go next to the segment I'm going to call "Was I Right or Was I Right?"
That's true. That's true. Um, oh, Kendall. Uh, he so I mean honestly, the leading into I know we're not really going event by event, but leading into that challenge, there was so much strategy talk. There
Yeah,
was a lot of like Tyreek, Toby, and Johnny were like really talking about how things open up, how they really want to get Josh out, and then how they see Josh Kendall and Isaiah as a little bit of the other side, though Isaiah has relationships, but strategy really became a focus in the relation in
did you
the
notice the pattern?
Oh yes, yes, for sure. Without
And
with
then I'm like,
yeah,
even
with
they know, even
yeah,
they
yeah,
know.
I know. Um and I mean something that they said and I get Johnny's perspective. Johnny was like, Kendall has relationships with everyone. He'll like last in this game. And that's what I said last. I said
He
last when I was like,
did.
Kendall, somebody like literally that new bombshell came in, the guy bombshell, and he
But from
knew
the UK.
he knew only the UK people and Kendall. You know?
Yeah. Like,
And
they're from the UK.
but
Yeah.
no, but that's what I'm saying. Kendall knows people, and Kendall will get far in this game if it's based on relationships. And
Mm.
so, and I think that Johnny sees that, and I get that, and Johnny's like, I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. And I love challenges like these on competition shows because it really shows cards, and that's why they're introducing this alliance who they had to. But the thing is, there was this unified alliance where like Johnny told Andreina basically who to go for. Justine and Tyreek kind of agreed to who to go for based on their relationships with people, and Toby and Sydney same. But the other group just was like they did not know what they're doing over here, and that's what all happened. And I don't blame Gabby for like having disgusting stuff in her mouth and just kind of put it like if y'all didn't talk about who you're gonna go for and you just kind of like in the moment you may just need to whatever you can. And I don't know. I'm sure she might have done it a bit in there, but I don't know if it was purposeful. I don't think it was purposeful. And based on what she was saying, clearly it wasn't. Like honestly, I don't think it was. And so Kendall's reaction of finding that out, of like, first off, Kendall did it himself, and Isaiah was pissed about that, a little bit, I guess. But obviously Lucinda was like willy nilly saying Gabby only did mine, which I think,
She
okay,
hates me. That girl hates
yeah,
me.
she hates me. She hates me, and then maybe she hates how close we are to like. And I don't know if she said that, but basically that's what it's implying. Um,
Yeah.
and and my thing is, I thought it was squashed, and they kind of talked about it because Gabby apologized, and then Kendall kept saying how his best friend's Lucinda, my best friend's Lucinda, blah blah blah. And I'm like, and whenever Kendall grabbed Gabby or took Gabby, and Kendall asked, it was kind of like that was just a wild conversation to me. I want to hear your thoughts, but that was a wild conversation. And what Kendall took away from that conversation, again, I could see how it was like coded in like probably some experiences with Nicole a little bit, a bit. What's like, I'm not saying I'm giving him grace. I think he was in the wrong for the conversation, but I was like, that's wild. What was the scene of like, wherever you want to start, but I don't know if you want to talk about the scene of him and Garby up on the terrace talking.
Yeah, let's. Well, actually, okay. I want to start there, but I want to say the tiny thing I want to say is that even like right after the game, immediately after the game, he turned on her immediately then because Lucinda was like, Gabi, I blah 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 blah, and like Gabi, no, I'm saying it. Garby immediately said, "Oh my gosh, it wasn't on intentional." What you're
Yeah.
saying, and Kendall, so he heard both. He heard Lucinda's accusation, and he heard Garby in that moment say it wasn't intentional. Kendall still turned to her and went, Garby, did you do it on purpose? I'm like, excuse me. So that was already strike one. And then, yeah, and then we get, okay, this conversation. Yes, it was wild. And also, I was like, I knew it. And also, I guess palm colored supremacy makes you delusional because I don't care. Sorry, not sorry. In what world is Garby jealous of Lucinda? Are you kidding me? What's wrong with you? And I love that she also looked at him like that. And she's like, are you saying I'm jealous? Like she also was like, what? Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Are you out of your
That
mind?
that was a wild thing to say, and he in a span of, I know it was cut, I'm sure, but let's say in a span of 10 minutes, I think that conversation probably at max was 10 minutes. Um, in 10 minutes, asked her like 4 or 5 times if she on purpose did it, and then on top of that, asked if she was jealous in some way, and it's kind of
Not
like,
because of me.
yeah.
Kendall.
And I'm like, she clearly communicated to you way before, and you bring it up again when she's feeling down. Yeah, she's feeling, but she answered your question, and you asked 4 more times. And so when she's like, I can't talk about this, I leave, and it's like, oh, and he's going around saying like, she just got up from the conversation and left, and people are like, that's a
Yeah.
red flag if they don't want to talk about it. I'm like, what's a red flag is that you don't believe her. You don't believe what
And
she's saying.
yes,
Like,
and that you badgered her to the point where because she it was like, and also, I mean, as a viewer, I didn't even have to look at her. I could hear in her voice, she was like, her voice was cracking. She was like about to cry.
yeah. Like like my thing is, and they I actually, I was gonna say they might have, they did not, they did not have a strategy talk before about what they're gonna do. I understand that when people think of competition savviness, like yes, some of that is running fast or picking up things and putting it down, but yes, some of it is like mental strategy to do something. And sometimes people in that moment are not thinking about, strategically we should all target this person because y'all didn't talk about that, and so
Mhm.
you can't be upset at her when you didn't even know what's taking place of the dynamic. Like if the guys went first and then the women, the guys might have been like,
Yes.
"Hey, actually, this is what's happening. Do this." But the women went first. They were going off of vibes a little bit. Like that's how it seemed, except
Yeah.
maybe a couple.
I
Um,
think
yeah,
maybe Andrea and
I,
Justine.
I think Andrea, Justine, and Sydney, who all were on a similar, Andrea not, but like, but I think that like you can't blame her. You can't blame her
Yeah.
on that. And I think Lucinda digging in her heels on that is wild. And so, um, but yeah, that conversation is wild from Kendall. And then, like, I just feel like. that then when they tried Kendall pulled her and they tried to like talk and he was like, yeah, I guess we both have things to apologize for and are sorry for. And then Gabby's like, he I don't think he understood what I said. And she's like, no, he did not understand what I said. He did not understand what I'm upset about. Um,
And
well,
also low-key threatened her by saying, I mean, that's something I'll take note of.
yes,
She's
I
so
forgot.
lucky that and that I was like, wow, okay, this is a lesson for me because I would have gone I would have gone
Yeah,
off. I would have been like, okay, you know what? Yeah, maybe he's not going to pick me in the next few coupling
yeah,
because why are you threatening me? How dare you? And what does that even mean? It's so like the speaking to her like that was so. I felt like it was
yeah.
disrespectful and gross and
It
so
was.
misogynistic.
It
And
was.
knowing it's on behalf of Lucinda, who I also caught he was saying my best friend in here. So it's not even like, oh, you have a really close relationship outside of it. You've known her for like a week, just like the same amount of time you've known Garby, who
Yeah,
has actually really been there for you and chose you when she didn't have to.
yeah. It's just wild. And in the end, I think them both choosing each other and staying. But I actually thought Kendall was leaving. I thought Kendall was going to get up.
I
And
will be fine if he gets voted out.
I just
He's not entertaining enough for me now. Now he's more on the like
yeah, I don't know. Like I still don't know. Like I think that do I enjoy him on TV in general? Yes, but also I'm like this is just like made me feel like Gabby didn't deserve that. And I'm like maybe he can bounce back. I don't know if I trust that, but if someone's gonna get voted out, I think it's Marvin. Um, so I was like, well, clearly Marvin. Um,
I forgot that he was up for
yeah,
it.
yeah, I think that's a little more clear in my eyes. But
Yeah.
we'll see. So I do think that they might bounce back a little bit. But I feel like she should keep her options open, and Kendall dug his own grave for that. And I think he really made a mistake. So and I'm not saying that she should like be okay like moving forward.
No, I get it.
He made a mistake, and I think he has to live with that, or either like make up for it, or just like die in that hill. And I think you either die in that hill for Lucinda. You know what I mean? For Lucinda.
Yeah. For
Um,
Lucinda.
so don't know why,
She's still
but
not gonna choose you, dude.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he thinks he did anything wrong, which is yeah, it's like, okay, so you're the same.
Yeah,
Also, I will say the positive was that it opened Garby's eyes, and I was like, oh, Garby's about to get woke because you could see her like processing, and then afterwards, she did the thing where she was like, yeah, okay, let's say we're good, and then she went into the makeup room and like she did clock it. She was like, he told me it's something he's gonna take note of, and I'm like, okay, Garby, okay, the wheels are
yeah,
spinning,
yeah,
and then I think she's more like I'm making a strategic choice. I think she's over Kendall, like emotionally, and it's more like, okay, this is what I have to do right now to save the game. Like, who am I
yeah,
going to be with Marvin? He's about to get, to your point,
yeah,
voted
yeah,
out, and I think she did it, and I think it made sense because yeah, it's like if she were to risk this person in the box like that's a bigger risk than just
yeah,
risking like let me stay with Kendall. Either he'll like at least that way it's like I'll be in his good graces if I chose him versus
yeah,
Justine and Tyrique.
yeah,
That's what I'm getting from her. So I'm like, okay, she'll be okay. She still has her head in the game, and if anything, it made her. If anything, it's good because now she can be over Kendall faster. Nobody was
yeah,
there to give her a heads up on Kendall. Too bad Serena wasn't there because
yeah,
Serena did
yeah,
not
yeah.
was not a fan from day one.
Yeah, would have clearly clocked it for her. But so I am interested to see where they go. I think Gabi still likes him, and I think that's gonna be part of it.
You
But
think so? He still
I,
has a
I, I
little.
I think a little bit. I
Mm,
think a little bit, but I we'll see what happens. But I do
okay.
think, and I think strategically to win the game, I don't know if Kendall will help win her the game, but I think she has the ability to win the game. But I think that Kendall could help her survive votes and help her. I think she's liked now, but I think that will also help her be a little connected. I think the biggest op right now is Johnny. Be seeing that, and that is a big op to have,
Mhm.
because personally, but I think that'll be interesting to see how that goes. I don't know if Kendall knows that. But I think that I think Kendall has good relationships with a lot of the women, which I think will keep him safe for certain things. Like when women pick the men, when people vote who to stay for, like Islanders, I think there's a lot of benefits, but um Kendall in a competition, I don't
Yeah.
know. So we'll see.
Hey, you're right.
Yeah,
That means that Garvey, that means that girl's got to stay with them because she has Lucinda now. Lucinda is now her biggest op, and even that, like, I'll forgive, but I won't forget. Oh, really quick, I want to say that even if I agree, so I agree with you. I'm so upset. I'm so upset that I can't talk. Um, I just want to say, like, Lucinda's reaction to Garvey is coded in something, but I haven't been paying enough attention to Lucinda.
yeah,
So I can't give my full theory because she's not that interesting. So she's not, she's not someone
yeah.
who I'm like, I usually am like, like analyzing her and watching her facial movements. But I just found it really gross that they showed her several times speaking to multiple people about Garby, and so I now
So
feel
bad.
like you're right that Kendall has a social game, and because of Lucinda, now Garby kind of doesn't have a choice. Like, she's safest sticking with Kendall because if she's his partner, at least then Lucinda can vote her out.
Yeah.
Just want to say that. Yeah.
Exactly, exactly. So I think, and she spoke about her so poorly to other people, and then when Gabby finally pulled her and talked, and she was like, "Oh, okay, good
So
to hear
fake.
that. So understanding and everything." And I'm just like, this is exactly like Lucinda and Nicola are cut from the same cloth, you know?
Yeah.
Um, Different people, but similar energy sometimes, or
Yeah.
like in terms of like how they, whether they realize it or not, but how they weaponize kind of like their tears and their emotions. And
Yeah.
so I don't know. We'll see. But I am side-eyeing Kendall and hoping that Gabby can navigate the next few days. But well, yeah, yeah, who knows? So, um,
Okay, should we get to the man who keeps getting away with it?
yeah.
He keeps getting away
Seriously.
with
Well, I actually before speaking on that on Superman over here, I think just saying quickly for Josh and Andrea,
it.
like I think that I think Josh did do Justine a little dirty. I think in the
Oh,
conversation,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Josh did say, "I'm good with where I'm at now." Like
Yeah.
he did say that, and I get why Justine's like, you understand why I'm frustrated. No, if in the end, she said, "Hey, I understand everything," and she was saying that because she wanted to keep a good working relationship with him, and that's why, she was annoyed. She definitely was annoyed, and she should have been. I'm not saying she like emotionally like liked the guy, loved the guy, but it was more of like we had a good working relationship. But
Yeah.
I think if Andrea didn't win the duel, he might have. But I've seen Andrea win the duel. I think he was like, okay, I could work with Andrea or Justine. I'm interested in Andrea. And they both have good prowess. I still think it's wild when it's like when the reigning champ wants to work with you and isn't commit. Like I don't know. I know like love is part of it, and they want to be together, and they're gonna be fine. But I think that him working with Justine would have protected him on a lot more angles, which
Hmm.
I don't know because they talked about the strategy of like being in a relationship with somebody else, but actually partner with somebody else. Like I
Yeah.
don't, I don't know if at this point Toby and Johnny would have
Mm.
targeted Justine and Josh when if they were paired together because Justine. But when it's just Josh and Drea, I think it was kind of like, yeah, we're gonna cover Josh, like he's the biggest threat. Because I think,
Ooh, yeah.
so it's interesting. That's more strategy, but I think that like I understand that he's like clearly feeling lover boy and lover girl over here, but I think that and they were surprised by how many people were targeting them. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna get targeted. So I don't think there's much more than that, but I think they're finally together. We'll see how long it is until. But I think that when given a chance to go in a duel, Josh is gonna be the next person to be sent in a duel. I think that's like
Mm.
very likely because I think I don't, yeah, I just think was going to take place unless they're safe. So we'll see.
That's a good point. Yeah, I agree that he was not clear with her, and I actually took a picture of her face after they hugged because you're right that she was definitely not okay with him. That was the face of like I'm gonna get you later.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And it is I yeah I hadn't thought of your the strategic choice you just brought up. That would have been a lot smarter. You're right, because yeah, he would have had both things covered. I hadn't considered that. I did think that it was because she won the duel, so he thought, okay, well, I'm more into her anyways, and she's like very powerful, so let's do this together. Um, which yeah, I don't think it was a bad choice, but I just think I think you're right that he would have been safer if
Yeah,
he stuck with Justine.
yeah, agreed, agreed. So we'll see how that goes. But um But yeah, no. So I guess I talking about the man, the myth, the legend, or the man, the myth, the villain. What we want to say, um, I guess there's not much to talk about with Toby and Sydney. They're together. They
Yeah.
won. Sydney says fire a lot, which is which is wild. We talked about this offline, but whenever Zay and her were talking, and they had a very intimate conversation, and Zay was giving update about him and his dad, and she was like fire. I was like, that's like a wild response, and I think I know who she is as a person now. But they won, they were on top. And that's how it is. And I feel like Lucinda might have been on the chopping block if Lucinda didn't get saved personally by Toby.
Agree.
So
Agree.
yeah, but then going to Andreina and Johnny. Um, do you want to rant first? Or should I rant first? Or how you want to go?
I'll rant first
Go for
because
it.
I think that Andreina is doing what she's probably seen TikTok and IG say she should do. She's trying to live a soft life. She's trying to be a trad wife. She's like, I'll do whatever you want. I don't know. I don't have to think for myself. I will be physically attractive and do whatever you want. And I don't think she's understood yet that, see, it'll never be good enough. I don't think she's not there yet. She's in the mentality of like, this is what men said they want. This is what everyone is saying we should do in the world. So why, why are the men not happy? Because
Yeah.
to your point, Tyrique wants to lead. Andrina was like, okay, lead me. And he's like, she doesn't bring anything to the table.
Wait, do you mean Johnny or Tyreek? Are you
No,
saying both of them?
both of
Tyreek and
them.
then Johnny.
Tyreek,
Yeah.
yeah, Tyreek started that, and then Johnny does the same thing where he's like, "Oh, you look so good, babe. Oh, baby. Oh my gosh." And then he's like, "She doesn't stimulate me mentally." And I thought, Johnny, what intellectual conversations are you trying to have?
Yeah.
What stimulating intellectual conversations are you having? Because I've watched you on now 3 seasons of Love Island game of Love Island, and I've never seen you initiate an intellectual conversation about anything with anyone. I think I feel for Andrina. I wanted to start there, and that I feel for her, and that I think she's unfortunately a victim of the times we're living in. A lot of her generation has been red pilled, and she's trying to do what they say they want, but she hasn't gone to the point of realizing that, yeah, that's another reason all this is nonsense, because it will never, like, yeah, it's, you're doing what they said they want, and yeah, it's still not good enough.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and also I just want to know, when will Johnny be stopped? Because I just want to know. Because
I
this is now I had my, like, last time I did my, like, the next girl, the next girl, the next girl, and this time Justine, was never involved with Johnny, but she told Audrina and the other women, like, Johnny does this with everyone.
yeah.
Johnny does the, oh baby, you're so amazing, oh
Yeah.
baby, with everyone.
Yeah, because somebody was like, "Y'all are like a married couple," and she's like, "Oh, I know. I was falling to the ground. A cow carried me," and then Justine's like, just so you know, this is who Johnny is." And then like they kind of like made a face. I think Anjana was like, "Oh, okay." Um, but it's kind of like, yeah, she literally told you this is gonna happen. Like everyone was blindsided, and I was like, this is who Johnny is. You know, this is who. I don't know if anyone watched I'm forgetting what it's called when they're doing the talk show about the week. I'm blanking
Oh,
on the
after
name.
son.
After Sun, and how whenever Johnny like it was just like whenever Sully was like Justine, hey, and I was like hi. Then Johnny was like hi Sully, and then she was like hi Johnny. It was just like it was like you need to see the lore and understanding of these people, because it clearly is a reason why these people like don't trust this man. Um and so, but I the fact that he built, last episode I said how he used the word Superman to refer to himself, a superhero, at least 5 times, and then he used it at least, I want to say, I think I counted 5 or 6 times in the episodes, and he referred it to it, but he like told her over and over, hey, I'm your Superman, I superhero, I saved you, and then she kept on saying, you're my superhero, you saved me, and then he was like, she keeps on saying that I'm pulling all the weight. What is she giving? It's like you put this idea in her head to rely on you. Not say that she needed, but you made this be like this is our dynamic. And once it was established and she believed it, and you were like, you say it's this dynamic, and that puts a lot of pressure on me, and I need something more from you. And it's kind of like this man, like what's wild is like I don't even if it's true or not, he does not care about love. He just wants to win the money. And he said it multiple times. Whenever he had the conversation with her a little bit, and she started saying more of like, oh, well, I care more about the love part, he just started kissing her. And to shut up, to shut her up, like
He's
straight
like,
up.
he went, oh, you look so good, baby.
Yeah, you look so good, kisses her, and she's like, oh, and falls into his arms, and he's just like, I'm glad I got to cut that conversation short. And it's just like, but and
Terrible.
and to say like we don't get deep, and it's like exhausting. Like, what conversations is Johnny having that exhausts him because he's using so much mental stimulation? You know what I mean? I'm like, no, this man just wanted to get a better partner, and he guilt tripped her to be like, you aren't enough. Like, and he kind of named once in a while the athletic part, but he really was just saying like, you just aren't what I am needing. Like, what was it? He's like, it's a prerequisite to be in front of me to be pretty. Um,
Oh
and
my
so,
God.
and I was like,
He
and
did
that's
say
all.
that. Disgusting.
Yeah,
Yeah, he did say that. That's a prerequisite just to be in front of me.
he's
It's a bare minimum.
he is. So that's what I'm saying. Like,
Ugh.
he's a gaslighter like I haven't seen in a while, and he like knows it. He knows how to use it.
And he
Yeah.
hasn't even changed it up. I think that's what drives me bananas. It's not like, oh, he did this. It's the same. It's like literally the same. Sorry, it's literally the
Yeah,
same
no, it's the same, and
strategy.
but that's why everyone's face whenever he said he's leaving. I remember Lucinda's face. I remember Gabby's face. I think it was even Nicola's face. They were shocked. Justine was like sitting there, kind of like this is like nothing new, you know. And it was wild. Like I definitely, and especially Andreina was kind of like I would turn package. Like I'm so happy with my man, all these things, and then he just like buried her. Um, and it was just so it was evil. It was evil, and don't get me wrong, it was good TV. You know what I mean? It was like we saw Tyrique and I'm like, Tyrique, you were terrible. You should just seen this way. And it's like kind of like, oh wow, that is evil. He was like building this narrative from like I'm plotting your demise, and then we have this guy who's like peak villain was kind of like, no, I built you up to believe that like you loved me, and you do love me, but just so you know, like not enough for me. um like it was two levels of villain that like after Johnny, it was like what would have happened Tyreek in a normal Love Island show would have been the last person to go, and it was dramatic. But Tyreek was like the fourth to last person to go because they knew they had TV gold with what Johnny was about to do, you know, and that is how evil Johnny is.
Tyreek was just the appetizer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like that is wild because in the end they probably knew too with the Gabby who was coming in, who was letting all this stuff, like she's probably gonna be Johnny, compared to everyone else there. And so I'm
Yeah.
just like, it's just like one of those situations where it's really because I'm sure going in the box of like, oh, what people would you definitely choose? And I'm sure they said Johnny. Um, and so they knew this would be happening, and so it was like a level of evil that I haven't seen on a I don't even see that evil always on like competition shows. So when it's love, like a competition show with a little love, it was just even more messed up because Antonina like thinks this is Love Island but with games, you know.
Yeah.
And she said that like she in the room was like telling everyone was like, yeah, if Johnny told me to get one of you girls out, like I would just do it because Johnny's the one who's the strategic and it's like a wild comment to say, and it's
That's
just
when I
like
realized that, oh, okay, she's been red pilled and she's trying to do what she thinks
and
she's
and
supposed to do.
and it's just like it's a wild it's wild. And I'm not saying that like maybe Andreina does need to like open up, and I'm not saying I don't want to
Sure.
put her in any way like but because I think she was fully gaslit. I'm not saying that people in
Yeah.
this show is like aren't can't be more interesting sometimes, you know.
Yeah, sure.
But I think that people have approached conversations very differently than Johnny has, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I definitely watched that, and I have thought about it a lot, and I was that was like class A, like master class like gaslighting, you know. Um And I'm just like, I watched that and I'm like, oh, I need to see the arcs of what he's done to other women. Like I've heard how bad it is. I've seen those women interact with him, but I'm like, oh, I need to know now. Because he is evil. I want to see like how it's progressed. If it had, like you said it's been the same. It's always says all the same thing, but
It's the same strategy, and every time the woman is like, I think he's misunderstood. And then like every time, that's why I was like, no,
yeah.
not again.
Yeah. Oh, again. And it's just like, and especially like, especially with having a baby now, I feel like how he used it at the beginning, he was like, yeah, I'm trying to date, like, I have a child now. Like, I've needed to grow up,
Oh,
like,
you're right.
and
Okay, I will give him that. He's been able to tweak the strategy a little bit by now.
yeah,
But yeah, by adding the baby.
yeah, adding a baby, like, hey, I have to be mature now because I have a baby. So I need to be looking for something that like I can see in the future. Like or whatever he said is like it's like he tweaked it and that's like he's a repertoire of things to say and that's definitely moved up to be like, oh, this is what I can use. Because I'm like, you all had a 2 month thing you said, which again, Andreina was out of the house for 3 months and it didn't work. And Andreina just fell into it and Johnny was like, oh, this is my way to stay in a little bit. And once he had his footing after beating Chris, he said it a little before here and there, but after he beat Chris, he was like, "Oh, my options are open now." And he knew he had more runway, and he was like, "Okay, I can." Because before that, he was like, I just, evil man, evil
He's
man,
terrible. He's the worst. He's the
man.
worst. Also, yeah, I think he had one it was just so terrible to see him talking to the men about it and being like, she's not stimulating me, bro. And then
Yeah,
he has one conversation with her about it, and this like literally the same day. But then when he talks to everyone else, he tries to make it sound like, this is something we've been working through and tells that like he made I clocked that he made sure to tell everyone. And I told her about this, making it sound like, she's known about this,
yeah,
but it's like, I told her about this 3 hours ago
yeah,
for the first
yeah.
time. I will say my hope is that maybe Gabby will be the one. My hope is that maybe Gabby will finally topple down the Johnny Empire. Her
Yeah.
season of Love Island was actually the first season that I watched.
Oh,
And it was the first season that the show really, really blew up because it was the first season with Casa Amor.
yeah.
Um, her backstory. Well, I should ask. Are you familiar with her a little bit?
I am pieces. I don't have a full story because I've saw my first seeing of was when she was on the Challenge USA, I think. And
Oh,
so she was on the Challenge USA, which I think was with Johnny and Justine. I will double check that actually. So it actually makes me think that they might have played together. I don't want to quote that,
interesting.
but please tell me a little bit about the lore, about her lore.
Just to give you like this is part of why I'm like maybe she'll be able to get him, is that on her season she was with this guy Marcel the whole season. But she had this kind of sad, it wasn't an arc, a sad part of the show where she told him that once she's like, once I get out of here, I'm gonna get so much work done. I'm gonna get so much plastic surgery. And she was crying, yeah, saying that no one was choosing her, like none of the new bombshells were choosing her to go on dates with, and no one was like trying to take her away from him. And it made her feel like it's because like nobody finds her attractive. That made me really sad. And then, she did what she said she was gonna do and got a lot of work done. So I've always thought about that. Like, okay, she went through feeling like she wasn't good enough, but she was already, yeah, like a personal trainer or something. Like she was already like stacked. And then Marcel, after dating her for about a year, almost year and a half, cheats on her. I can't remember if it was on her birthday or on Christmas. It was on some like important day. Hoping so. My hope is that, yeah, she and Johnny will be unstoppable, but a new bombshell will come in the house who is like even better than Johnny, and she'll immediately dump Johnny.
Yeah.
Or they'll win, but they'll give her the option of whether to keep the money or split it, and she'll keep the money.
Oh, you're hoping that, yeah, that would be iconic, especially to get Johnny in that place. I
I
know,
know that's something no one would be mad. No, there would be no bad. There would be zero bad.
yeah. I I know I said this last week, but I still feel like I still am leaning even more so that there's a high probability someone's going to keep the money for themselves and
I
and
mean,
not
Johnny for sure would.
yeah, Johnny for sure would. And so, but yeah, no, I mean, I think that's all the people. I mean,
Mhm.
out of the vulnerable people of the guys and the girls, who do you think will go home? I'm curious to hear.
Well, I forgot about Marvin,
Yeah.
which I think probably means he's going home.
Yeah, for sure.
um, the girls, I agree. I don't think it'll be Justine. So let me see. Wait, it's Justine.
Justine
Is
Garby.
Nicola?
No, Dingle safe because
Okay.
she's with the new guy. So Justine Garby, uh, Andrea, and Andreina. So it's pretty
Oh
tough.
man.
It's a tough group. I'm like, can we take
Oh
two
man.
guys off? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh
and
no, not my baby.
I know, and I'm
I
like,
don't want Andreina to be the one who goes.
literally all the women I don't want to vote off with personally would be Lucinda, Nicola, or Sydney. Um, or I'll say so. I'm kind of like this is an awkward situation. I think I lean towards who I think's gonna go off. I think it's gonna be Andrea or Andreina. Um,
Hmm.
personally, and I who I hope for. I don't know because I really want Gabby and Justine to be safe. And I think there'll be entertainment with Andreina still being there. I'm
Yeah.
like maybe this will unlock her competitive side
Yeah.
and for her to get her just desserts against Johnny. Um, but I also am like I think she just might be a lover girl, and I think she just needs to go home. So I'm back and forth on it too, but I think that there's a chance. I think one of those two will be in the bottom, personally. But I don't know. I don't know.
It actually could even be Gar because yeah, that population is
That's
there. On
that's
the
true.
app, they were like, "Yeah, Garby did that on purpose. Garby's terrible." So I could see it being her too.
Dang, that's wild. I don't know because I'm just like it's always interesting because it's like who you want to keep. So it's like who you're not voting for versus like what are the person you want to go home is a different question.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
and I'm like some people might like that Andre and Josh is one of the most real couples like
yeah,
of like liking they might like that and after seeing Gabby and Kendall, but
yeah. No,
I
I
don't know.
think it's gonna be. I think Andre is gonna be safe. I think it's gonna be between Garby and Andrina. I'll be shocked if just. I don't. I think Justine still has enough of a following where she won't be at the bottom. But I think I'm. Yeah, I don't think. I think Andrea will be safe with the new
Yeah.
fandom. I
Yeah.
hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, I think that's it. I mean, I'm excited. It definitely like took a I texted Mommy the other day and I was like, wow, it really took a strategic turn. Like it went from like love and games to be like, oh, this is strategy. And it's an interesting dynamic. It is an interesting dynamic. I think the $250,000 really has upped the ante. Every single person across the Love Island universe is coming to get this money. I think that yeah, so we'll see pops up who pops up next. Could you I'm just saying this. Could you imagine if Kenny popped up? Like I know that wouldn't happen, but I'm just like, could you imagine? I feel like
He's so
honestly,
funny.
honestly, I feel like Ariana herself would just tackle him and be like, I'm going in a duel with him. You know? So
He's so funny.
yeah.
I have heard some rumors that Koi might be coming. He
Oh,
was like,
interesting.
yeah, yeah, because I feel like they have to have like like another big dog for Johnny.
Yeah. I would um yeah. There's a few people in my mind, but I feel like I want to look through the whole list before I start claiming to support people to come. Um, but you know what I mean? I don't really want to stand by people who I don't know as much,
True.
and say out loud. So, but I still stand where I would get a lot of entertainment if Nicole from season 6 came just to see Kendall's face. Feel like that would be good TV.
Oh
Um,
my
you know what I mean? So, but who knows? But yeah, I think
goodness.
that anything else on your end?
Nope, that's it. Yeah, we'll find out tomorrow. And I think tomorrow might be the last week. I'll have to double check, but I
That's
think
wild.
I think that's it.
Okay, well that's gonna be real then, so we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Um,
Well, thank you, MC. Subscribe for more.